and my kids went nuts on me. Well, on each other. Not on me, but on each other. Um, so I had to go settle them down. They were trying to attack each other. Usually they don't get that crazy, but they did today, and they are kids, and they do every now and then act a little wild or crazy, right? Oh, excuse me, I had to get a drink. So, anyway, if you'll just forgive me for a minute, okay? I'm going to see if I can get through this again. I was almost done with that live video. I decided to go ahead and delete it. And I'm so sorry about that for whoever was watching. I did see over here that I did have one person watching. It didn't say who the person was. Now, when I'm doing these live videos, it won't show me who's watching, so I do apologize. So I will let you guys know. We're going to start here now. So what I've been doing is I've been taking these cards back to the Bible. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go check on my kiddos real quick because I hear them opening. Okay, I'll be right back. Don't drag nothing out, all right? Be good, all right, kiddos? Don't be awful to each other. Love each other. All right, I'm back, guys. I always tell them, don't be mean to each other. Love each other. Whew. But they're kids, so that kids do what kids do, right? All right, so it should be all right now, and we should be all right for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and do this video, all right? So last night I went to sleep, and I was sweating all night. I mean, my blood pressure went high. My hands were sweating. I woke up at 6 o'clock. I will let you know 15 in tarot is the devil's card, right, is 5 plus 1 being 6. Now, that don't necessarily mean that that was bad because I woke up at 6 o'clock, because I will tell you that the Garden of Eden, the 6th card of the tarot card, right, the 6th card being of the major arcana is the Lover's card, right, is what you have Adam and Eve, right? So this is the 6th card of the tarot of the major arcana, right? So back then, I will let you know, I did do some research, and I did find out that the tarot cards did consist of 80 cards originally back in the 1400s. Now, if you want that original deck, I've looked it up because I wanted it myself. It was $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right, for that original deck. Another thing was originally what this was is it was not cards. It was a book in the Bible. Now, there has been over 40 books removed from the Bible. The book of Enoch is one of them. This is another one. So when we go and read these cards and read their stories, it also speaks of Greek mythology, being Greek mythology was originally in the Bible. Wow. Okay, so now we know that, right? Now, another thing, what I'm going to do, what I did earlier, I'm going to do this again now. Now, back then, they casted lots, right? What we do today is we roll the dice, right? Casting lots, we roll the dice. That's a game of chance, taking a chance, rolling the dice. What they had back then, drawing of the sticks, right? And whoever gets the smallest stick, right? Also, you know, the shortest stick loses, right? The longest stick wins, right? So another thing is the flipping of the coin, heads or tails, taking a chance. Now, where the lots came into play in the Bible was when Jonah was running away from his calling, and they what they did is they took a chance and they cast lots, right? So in our day, what we do today is we roll the dice, we flip the coin, we draw the sticks, right? Another thing that they did back in that time was they would cast bones, cast lots, right? And that's usually what, you know, people that do voodoo, they will roll those, right? Some of them roll shells. They do shells and interpret that. This is all fortune telling. Okay. So that is not evil. Those were all in the Bible, right? Even this was in the Bible, but they took this knowledge from us. They didn't want us to have this because Jesus himself said, these things I have done, you may do also in even greater. Correct? So he had the power within him, and he has put that in all of us. We are all born with that power. Okay, so even if you aren't born with the gift of clairvoyant or being able to foretell things of the past, present, future, doesn't mean you can't get an awakening to it, because the power is within you like it is within all of us. Now we're going to go and read these keys of heaven, right? So we do know that Jesus went to hell, right, for 3 days. And what did he get? He got the keys to death, hell, and the grave. So see, that's what bothered me. Why is there 2 keys there? Why isn't there 3? But think about that. Jesus went and got the 3 keys of death, hell, and the grave. These, what it was saying in that story, in this story of the Hierophant, is that this is the keys of heaven of knowledge of good and evil. So see, where that confused me is because behind her, being Eve, is the knowledge of good and evil. Now, God holds that power of good and evil, correct? Because Lucifer once was in heaven, right? He was in heaven. He was an angel. Michael battled him, threw him out of heaven, right? So when Michael battled him, threw him out of heaven, what happened? We now have the power over Satan, just like God has the power over Satan, just like Michael did. Michael had the power over the devil to throw him out of heaven. We all have that power too. In the name of Jesus, the devil has to flee. In the name of Jesus, the devil and his demons have to flee, right? Because we have that power within us. So we have that power over Satan, each and every single one of us. Why? Because it was given to us by God. Now watch this. So when you go to look at these keys of heaven, right, you're about to all get an awakening here. So watch this. I'm going to read a little bit to you. So the church, being the church in general, okay, has the keys of the kingdom of heaven, meaning whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on heaven, whatever you lose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So whatever you gain on earth, you gain in heaven. So if you gain a marriage, you gain that marriage in heaven. If you lose that marriage by a divorce, you are lost. You lose that marriage in heaven. That marriage will not be recognized in heaven if you are divorced on earth. Because what does it say in the Bible? That we're to obey the laws of the land, right? And the laws of the land has made it okay to get a divorce now. All right. So anyway, if you get married on earth, you are married in heaven by the eyes of God. If you are not married on earth, you will not be married in heaven. Ain't that something? All right, so let's read this. What are the 7 keys to heaven? The 7 keys, essential tools of the Holy Spirit, are forgiveness, Christ's vision, the holy instant, the holy relationship, the quiet time of meditation, miracles, and the atonement. What are the 7 keys to heaven? And what are the keys to heaven in the Bible? The keys of heaven, the keys of the kingdom of heaven signify authority. However, we have the authority to go and proclaim Jesus is the Messiah, which will allow people to enter the kingdom of heaven. This is what the Great Commission is all about. Jesus giving us the right to make disciples of all nations. What are the keys to heaven? The 3 keys to the kingdom: binding, loosing, and knowledge. What did Jesus mean by the keys of heaven? The keys of heaven, also called St. Peter's keys, refers to the metaphorical keys of the office of St. Peter. The keys of heaven, or the keys of the kingdom of heaven, is explicitly referred in the Bible in Matthew 16:19, the emblem of the papacy used by the Catholic Church. Who did Jesus give the keys of heaven to? Peter. Peter, at the portal of St. Peter's Church at Radovalica in Slovenia. The inscription, written in Slovene, reads, "I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven." The authority can be literally traced to one passage in the New Testament where Jesus mentions them first in response to Saint. What is the key to go to heaven? You enter heaven by forgiveness and through the righteousness that Jesus gives you. You do not enter into heaven by the Christian life. It's always true that where faith is birth, works will follow, but salvation is by grace alone, through faith alone, and Christ alone, right? What does it mean by "I will give you the keys of heaven"? Jesus will give the same authority to all 12 disciples, which he can give us too and will give us, right? Both before and after his resurrection. Matthew 18:18, before and after resurrection. John also 20:23. Jesus describes the authority he is delegating to them as the keys to the kingdom of heaven. He says that whatever they bind on earth is whatever they bind or loose on earth will be bound or loose in heaven. Do you see the keys now? The two keys is the binding and loosing, the loose, right? The binding and the loosing. So that's why there's two keys under the hyphenate, okay? Because it's the keys of binding and loosing. Whatever you bind on earth, you bound in heaven. See how he's doing this? As above, so below. This also being was in the Bible. As above, so below was also in the Bible, because these right here, these tarot cards, were a book in the Bible that they have taken from us. They didn't want us to have that knowledge. They didn't want us to know that. They didn't want us to have that power. So they wanted the power. And why? Why? To be over all of us, right? So what are the keys to heaven? Meaning of the keys. The keys represent two separate functions: the power to bind and the power to loose on earth. There's your two keys, represented by the silver key. And the power to bind and loose in heaven, the golden key. So the difference is one of these keys should have been silver and one should have been gold. That's the only difference. But we have that clarification now. So these are the reference to saint, right? What are the four keys of God? The keys that are examined, discussed in detail, can be immediately applied to your life are how to recognize God's voice, spontaneous thoughts, learning how to become still before the Lord, looking for visions as you pray, realizing the importance of two-way journaling. Where in the Bible does it say Peter has the keys to heaven? And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Matthew 16:14 through 19. There you go. Where is the third heaven in the Bible? A third concept of heaven, also called Shammai, heaven of heavens, is mentioned in such passages as Genesis 28:12, Deuteronomy 10:14, and 1 Kings 8:27 as distinctly spiritual realm containing or being traveled by angels and God. There we go. All right, so I'm going to close on that part, and we're going to go back to these cards. Now, back then, it started with Joseph, the foretelling of dreams. Now, there were 40 books now, remember, removed from the Bible, so it could have been, there could have been other books, right, that were before that book, right, and that has been taken from us. So there may be even back before that time, but because it being that there's over 40 books that were taken from us, this being one of the books, so they took from that book to secretly bring it back to us. So somehow it slipped out through time. So somebody brought it back to us. And this was originally in the Bible, okay? So they secretly, somebody brought it back to us. And we now have this today, but the world thinks it's evil. Why? Because they don't understand it. So anyway, just like a rolling of the dice, taking a chance, like I was telling you, and they had to throw Jonah overboard. Why? Because he was running from his calling, and when they threw the lot fell at Jonah, which back then was those lots, you could cast bones, you could roll the dice, right? Being a game of chance. There you go. So also, I don't know if you guys know this, you can take a game of poker deck cards. And in that, there's actually two fools, which the fool is also recognized as a joker, right? The joker of the cards, right? He's the fool. So I will tell you that, my pastor said or had mentioned this, and then I found it somewhere online. But the atheists, right? They don't believe in God, so they were like, well, they wanted to sue the Christians and take the Christians, to court, right? Why? Because we have Christmas, we have Easter, we have all of these holidays, but yet they don't have one, right? So then the judge ruled that the atheists do have a holiday. So April Fool's Day shall be shall be their holiday, because the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. So his holiday being April Fool's Day, right? So anyway, we're going to get back to this. So now what I was doing is the spiritual side of this and bringing this to you guys, the truth, right? So by doing that and doing my research, I found out that these tarot cards were a book in the Bible now, and they did originally consist of 80 tarot deck cards, right? And now there's 78, so 2 were taken, and I'd like to know which 2 those were, but I don't know because I don't have that original deck. But anyway, at least I found this much knowledge for you guys, truth, right? So when we start reading these, the Fool has 2 parts to his story. So we have went all the way to the 7th card. I haven't got to read this one for you guys. So what I'm going to do, I haven't got to do a video on here. All my videos are on Instagram. It's under Brandi Christopher Martin. So you might check that out. I do got videos on there. So this is what we're going to do. I'm all set here, and I'm going to explain this card to you guys. So this was the meaning for me coming on. Now, last night, I couldn't hardly sleep. My blood pressure was high. I was sweating. I was running a fever. I woke up at 6 o'clock. Now, I do know the 15th card of the tarot deck is the Devil card, being 5 plus 1 is 6. But this is the 6th card, major arcana card. This is the 6th card of the tarot, is Adam and Eve, right? I did get an awakening. So I'm going to clarify this to you guys. If you guys wake up at 6 o'clock, it does not mean it's evil. Does not mean it's bad. We've all through life been told that 6 is a bad number because that's like the devil's number, 666, right? 6 is not necessarily a bad number, okay? So if somebody gives you $666, go ahead and take it. It is not a negative thing because that it's a number, and these numbers mean something, and you can look it up. They're very powerful. They do have meanings behind the cards, angel numbers, okay? Numerology. Einstein talked about it. Nikola Tesla also, right? They were very genius, highly intelligent people, right? They even spoke of all these numbers, right? We, as carnal minds and not as intelligent as them, right? All right, so anyway, they talked of numbers too. So these numbers are not bad. So all I'm saying is if you are worried about, you might be worried about something at some point in your life, right? And then you notice you wake up at 6 o'clock. That doesn't mean it's bad. That just means you're going through an awakening. That might also mean, and if it don't mean that, then it could mean that something in life was bothering you spiritually, and you were worried about it and ended up waking up at 6 o'clock. So that's 6 o'clock. If you ever wake up at 6 o'clock, it could mean you're going through an awakening. It could mean that something that you were worried about, you're about to get the answer to, the truth about, right? So it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that the truth is about to be manifested, basically, and shouted from the rooftop. So whatever it is you were worried about is about to come out, okay? So you're about to get the truth of that. So where we have went from the Fool's journey. Now there's two parts to his journey. So we've went from his story and where he met up with the musician. Okay, the first person that I'm sorry, I'm stuttering, that the fool met up with was the musician. So we read that story. And then the fool met up with the empress, and then the fool met up with the emperor. The fool met up with the high priestess, and then the fool met up with the Hierophant, and then the lovers. Now, since we're here talking about this Hierophant card, I'm going to go ahead and read his story, because in his story it talks about those keys, and it brings out these cards, right? But it also talks about the fool and his earthly parents and his spiritual parents, right? Okay, so anyway, I'm doing the cards this way. What I can do, make it easier for you guys, is this right here. Okay, so what do you know, too? And the marriage of, look at that. That's a clarification. The two lovers, right? This being Adam and Eve, the two parents up here, and the earthly and spiritual parents, right? Wow. And then the two is the only, and that is like the only one that I left over here of all the dices. All right, so let's go ahead and read this. There's a reason for everything, right? Okay, so the Hierophant. It is time for the fool to get to know the Hierophant, his heavenly father, the empress, and the emperor form the pair of the earthly parents, while the high priestess and the Hierophant shows him like the high priestess, shows him like the high priestess seated between two pillars. However, unlike her, his arms are spread open. Okay, so let's see. High priestess and the Hierophant join as the full celestial ones. So the image of the Hierophant shows him like the high priestess seated between two pillars. Unlike her, his arms are separated or are spread open, and he has an audience at his feet. He is clad in priestly robes and blesses the men who kneel before him. Once again, the two pillars are symbolic to duality and the balance that needs to be struck between opposites. The Hierophant has his hand raised with the thumb and the first two fingers pointing upwards. Look at that. And the other two fingers folded in on his palm. This indicates the distinction between above and below. So as above, so below. Gods and men, spirit and matter. The hyphenate stands as a link between the two. Through the priest, men obtain knowledge of the spirit, and men may communicate with the gods. The keys of heaven are crossed at the foot of the throne and stand for knowledge of good and evil. Like I told you, we have power over good and evil. So we have the choice to do good or do evil. So we have the choice to put out whatever we want. It's a choice, right? And we will all be judged for the choices in life we make, right? So although the image may depict established religion, the hyphenate's essence seems to be connected in myth, with the centaur Charon. Charon was a god who sacrificed his immortality and deserved place on Olympus in exchange for Prometheus' mortality. Prometheus committed the crime against his fellow immortals by stealing divine fire from the gods to give to man. So, like in the beginning in Genesis, right, where it says, "Let us make man in our own image," right? So God made man, being Adam, in his own likeness and image. But let us being who? Gods. Let us make man in our image. Think about that, right? All right, so Zeus was enraged by this act of impotence and arranged an agonizing torture as punishment. Now, remember where I was telling you in the beginning, right? In Genesis, where it says, "Let us make man in our image." Lucifer made man in his image too, did he not? He didn't create, he made, right? He made man in his image. Why? Because of the first sin, the first fall. Let us make man in our image. Get it now? So when he was casted out and into the Garden of Eden, Eve saw him and did eat, right? That's why her womb is cursed. That's why women today give birth in sorrow and in pain. He never cursed the apple tree. He cursed her womb, the fruit of the womb. He cursed that. Think about that. And then what did he do with man, with Adam? He is now to till the ground. By the sweat of his brow, he's to work and slave, right? Every day of his life now. By the sweat of his brow, he's supposed to work. Hot, heat, toil, soil, all of it, right? Because of the first sin, because Adam himself partook from it too, from sin. Because we were all supposed to be spoken into existence. We were not supposed to come from a birth of sin. We are all born in sin, come in the world speaking lies. We were not originally supposed to come that way. We were supposed to be spoken into existence and not come by a sex act, by sin. Yep. So think about this. These two were created in God's image, right? So she was taken out of man, man being created in God's image, right? They did not have a belly button. They were not born. They were created by the Creator. They didn't have a belly button. So she gave birth to Cain, and the cord was cut. Cain had a belly button, and so on through history. But they did not. Think about that. So let's go back to this. Zeus was enraged by his act of impotence and arranged an agonizing torture as punishment, which would last for eternity unless another god was prepared to give up his immortality to rescue Prometheus from his harrowing fate. Charon obliged, for he had a wound he could not heal, and wished for mortality so he could die and be released from his pain. He spent his time on earth teaching men spiritual values and instructing them in the art of healing, both spiritual and physical. Chiron guided many heroes and taught many the healing arts. The hyphenate embodies the other face. The hyphenate embodies the other face of the masculine principle, that being the emperor. So the hyphenate embodies the other face of the masculine principle, being the emperor. Ain't that something? So the emperor stands for man's worldly face. The emperor stands for man's worldly face, while the hyphenate represents his spiritual one. The hyphenate represents the urge to find spiritual meaning in life. He is the force behind the forming within each man of religious beliefs or let me see if I can say this right. Philosophical values. Philosophical values. He stands not only for accepted and traditional theology, but also for the need within each man to test out such teachings or beliefs for himself. Oh, there's a fly in here. It keeps buzzing around. And all right, I'm sorry, guys. Okay. He stands not only for the accepted and traditional theology, but also for the need within each man to test out such teachings or beliefs for himself. The hyphenate is the energy behind the desire to find a personal spiritual truth. He is thus the fool's spiritual guide and mentor, but unlike his partner, the high priestess, whose secrets are not readily revealed, the hyphenate is clearer and more direct in his teachings. The divinatory meaning of this card are those of assistance from a wise or helpful person, as well as guidance on spiritual matters and the need to find spiritual meaning in life. Now, when the fool met up with the hyphenate, that was the story behind the hyphenate. Now, we're going to go on. And I'm going to do another video. In this next video that I'm going to do, I haven't got to read these stories to you guys, okay? So I did read this one today, but give me a little bit, you guys, because I know it's the weekend, and I do take the weekend off. I wanted to come on here today to clarify this, because I'm telling you, my blood pressure, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this truth had to be put out here. You guys have had to know this, okay? So in case I missed anything, you might go back and check my video there on Instagram. I'm under Brandi Christopher Martin. So you might go and check that video. And just in case I missed something, okay? And if I did, I do apologize, okay? I did try to do a video earlier and my kids interrupted, and which is all right, you know, things happen for a reason. So maybe this video wasn't meant to come out at that time. So anyway, I do apologize, but also, you might keep a lookout for this next video, because this next video I do on here, I'm going to start with the Fool's journey. Now, he's got two parts to his journey, okay? And then the Fool meets up with the rest in line, okay? Now, I will tell you that the 78 tarot decks, I did do a video to show you how to put them all in order, from the major arcana to the lesser arcana, okay? And how to put them in order by their suits. Okay, so even if you can't read Roman numerals, I can show you how to put them all in order. I will show you a deck real quick. Watch this, you guys. So I went and put these cards in order. Let me get them out real quick. Okay. So I went and I put all of these cards in order. Look here. Now, I really tested myself, and I'll show you why, guys. So see these cards here? Not here, but in another deck. Okay, so right here at the bottom, it talks and it tells you about the cards, right? There's a deck, watch this, that's a little more difficult than this. And let me show you. Do you know how in some of these beginner decks that you'll get, right? They have like in the upright and they have a message here. And then in the reverse, they have a message, right? So I really tested myself. I'm going to show you something real quick, guys, okay? So even if, and I'm thinking about doing it, like creating a deck, but I'm not going to number them and just have pictures, right? This is my idea. So anyway, just to test myself. Watch this though. But this deck here, it works. What I would do is a deck like this. So whoever made this deck, they are like totally awesome. So let me show you guys, because this really tests your skills, right? Watch this deck. So this deck being Tarot of the Oppositions, right? Watch this. So we have the Fool, right? But what I would like to have is to have it, but you know, of course, the major arcanas would have to have this, right? Would have to have the word, right? So we know which card is which card, right? But then when we start getting to the suits, they don't necessarily need the words, because you can look at the pictures and do it without the words, right? Anyway, that was a deck that I was thinking about creating. So if one of you guys do it, I wouldn't be upset if you took my idea. That's totally cool. But anyway, we have here, right? Like I was telling you in the beginner's deck, right? They have words here for the upright position. Then when you turn it this way, there's some in the reversed. Well, with this deck, instead of it being words, there's pictures. Pictures of the reversal of the Fool, right? Being positive, negative, and also in the upright. So you have the upright, the positive. You have the reversal being the negative side of the cards, right? So look how dark that is, right? So this being the Fool's journey, right? The Fool. Which being as below, as above, so below, right? Which was also originally in the Bible, and they took it out. Like they take a lot of things away from us that they don't want us to know. Why? Because they don't want us to have that power, that knowledge. But we end up finding out anyway, right? Look at these cards. So anyway, these cards are very interesting. Anyway, this is it for this video. So you might keep an eye out for this next video that I'm going to be doing. Um, and I'm going to start with the story of the cards, all right? So I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. And I just came on here to show this to you guys. So I hope you like this video. And again, you might try to find me on Instagram. It's Brandi Christopher Martin. You can follow me on here, and you can follow me on there if you want. If you'd like to see upcoming videos, just subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get your videos. And I will try to come on more often for you guys. So I'm asking that you guys get a lot of blessings your way. I'm asking for prosperity and success to come your way. And I love you all. And until the next one, until I see you again, have an awesome, amazing, wonderful, powerful, awakening day. Love you all.